Hi, my name is Liz Forrest, and today I'm here with Bob Hougher for the Community Dialogues, and today we're going to be talking about bees. So I'm going to ask Bob to start off how he got introduced to bees.
I was always curious about bees. I mean, they're just extremely interesting forces of nature. And I met a man named Kermit Forney. He lived in Batavia, and he owned a couple hundred hives. And this was about mid-'80s. Seems like a long time ago, and it is. But so he helped me find another farmer who had just a couple hives, and I bought those and started messing around with them. And I wasn't that good. I don't really know what I was doing. There's a book called The Hive and the Honeybee that Date and Company puts out. It's very informative. So I bought that and tried to self-teach myself. And then Kermit was getting older and he wanted to sell his operation, and I bought that. So I had a couple hundred hives and just got after it.
Wow. So what did you do with your bee farm once you had started out? Did you just specifically go for honey production, or
Honey
what
production,
all do you do?
yeah, that's primarily what I did. I provided honey to MIU for quite a while. There's other ways to make money with bees. You can maybe buy the pollen. You've probably seen that. It's very good, high quality protein that comes off the flowers. And it's also medicinal. Some people say it's medicinal. I've never could tell a difference, but I don't see any difference with the vitamins either, but some people swear by it. And then the bees make this high quality wax. And how's this little insect make wax? And the Catholic Church, all the candles in the Catholic Church are 100% beeswax.
Wow.
And so, people do that. What else? They make candles, sell bees, sell pollen. People get very creative with it.
Wow. I guess I forgot how many different uses there were for the bees. And can you kind of give us a little bit of information on when you're beekeeping, like what are the other benefits of the pollinators?
Well, there's like 20,000 different bees in the world.
Wow.
The honey bee, so they're all pollinating. Mm-hmm. Primarily the honey beekeeper is called Apis mellifera. That's an Italian bee.
Okay.
And so I'd say probably 99% of the beekeepers keep those. I bought some Russian bees these past 2 years, and they seem to be pretty hardy. So the bees get to work, and what was your question?
What all of the benefits do you notice from the bees?
Well, when they pollinate, you get a much better crop. If you have strawberries, you don't get those dinky little strawberries. You get big
juicy ones.
Big juicy ones. So if you have them around a garden or around an orchard, you get a lot better fruit.
Oh, okay.
That's just a secondary, I guess, benefit, maybe primary. I don't. So the bees visit the flowers. It's the birds and the bees. The bees visit the flowers. As they go into the flowers, their bodies get covered in pollen. And so as they go from flower to flower, they pollinate the flowers, and then they get the nectar that they take back to the hive and put it in the hive and make honey. There are worker bees. The bees start as larvae. Mm-hmm. The queen lays about 1,000 eggs a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she gets busy. And then when a bee first comes out as a full bee, first he's larvae, then he comes out as a nursing bee.
Okay.
And the nursing bees take care of the larvae and the eggs. And then after a while, they become worker bees and go out in the field.
Wow.
And once they start working in the field, in the high season, it lasts about 6 weeks, not very long.
Okay.
And then you have the drones, are the male bees, and their sole performance is to fertilize the queen. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they fertilize the queen, if they're lucky, they drop dead, they just fall dead. And then the other thing, in winter, because they don't do anything else, the worker bees, the female bees, kick them out. Okay. Yeah,
So it's either you die or you freeze to death.
Yeah, you work or, you work or you're out of here.
Okay. So there's only one queen per hive.
Yeah.
So, and you have hundreds of hives?
Well, I have.
In the day.
Now I only have like 4.
Okay. So you've got one queen per hive.
Yeah.
And then about how many bees do you have in one hive, if you had to guess?
60,000 bees in a hive.
60,000.
And when they start to get too many bees or too much honey, they swarm. That's their way to expand. So you have to watch that. As a beekeeper, you don't want them swarming, because then a young bee will take off with all your bees, half your bees, and pretty soon your hive's empty. Okay. So you have to watch. That's the one job about this time of year, you have to watch.
Okay, yeah, I wondered, because I've heard of bees swarming before, but I didn't know what the purpose was. And I had no idea that they would make too much honey.
Make too much, yeah. And it's fascinating. It's fun to watch. I mean, if you happen to be around your hives when they're getting ready to swarm, there's just bees everywhere. And the worker bees that go with the new queen they load up with honey, so they're not going to be interested in stinging you.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, then you can catch the swarm and put them in a new hive. So, because bees are expensive. You buy a box of bees, it's like $150.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then when you buy these boxes of bees and you get them to your house and you've got your hive, do you have any special criteria for getting them into this hive and having them stay there? How does that work?
Well, it's a little bit dependable on the weather. If you got a day like today or a nice spring day, you don't have to do too much. You put them in there, you close the hive off for a day or two and let them get used to being in the hive, and then you just open it up. Make sure that they have feed, and if it's sunny, you don't have to do anything. They'll go out and bring in the nectar and the pollen. Okay. If it's overcast and cold, you have to give them some honey or give them some sugar water.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how often do you have to feed your bees then when you're taking care of them, just to make sure that they don't swarm or leave the hive, or that they're healthy?
I don't know. You look at them early on, once a week, and that shouldn't happen too often. I mean, they get busy themselves,
Yeah. Do you ever have any issues with other bees coming in and bothering your hives?
Oh yeah, they will rob each other's hive. If an outside hive knows this hive is weak and it's loaded with honey, they'll come and try and rob it.
Really? Yeah. Okay. So when you see these little honeybees out flying around and they're out pollinating the flowers, and do they have little, on their legs, little orange, almost bumps? What is that?
That's the pollen from the flowers.
That's the pollen.
There's pollen, like a sacket that's on the back of their legs. Okay. And they little round balls, depending upon what's in, seems like a dandelion, it's bright orange. Yep. It's fun to watch. And then depending upon the fruit, like the black locust trees are starting to come in now. It's not quite as dark. Okay. But, yeah.
So now, depending on the pollen that they're seeing from the different flowers or whatnot, is that dependent upon the honey that you get and the coloring of it?
Yeah, definitely. Like this time of year, you don't care what it is. Like a lighter honey is more valuable. Okay. And in the springtime, you get, like we're getting approaching where the clover's coming in season, like you see it around the roads, this yellow sweet clover. Yep. The white clover's coming in. In the fall, you have goldenrod, and that's, it's good for the bees, but people don't like to buy it. They think it's different. So I saw one guy at the farmer's market in town, had the darkest honey I've ever seen. It almost looked like molasses. Wow. Yeah, I'd never seen that before, but.
Interesting. Interesting. So then, as far as storing honey and harvesting it, how does that process work?
That's a lot of work. You got to bring the full, they call them supers. There's boxes that you put out so that the queen can't get up and lay eggs. Okay. So it's just the worker bees get up there and fill up the supers. And then you got to take it to your barn or garage or wherever you want to uncap it and process it. And it's a job. It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Do you have a machine that helps you extract that? Or
Not anymore. There's
Okay.
one around town that we all kind of share.
Okay.
And that's why we are in the process of forming a co-op. So we can get everybody. There's probably 20 people around town that have somewhere 1, 2, 4, 10 hives. And we're trying to get together and get a place. If you know any place that would work, we need electricity, water, and free rent. And we could set it up and store our stuff in there.
Yeah.
And make it be a really great project for the community, I think. So we're working on that.
Yeah. So when you have 4 hives, say for instance on a regular normal year, how much honey would you have produced from that 1 year?
Probably, it's average of maybe 60 pounds a hive.
60 pounds a hive. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then do you leave some of that honey back
Oh
for
yeah, you have
the
to
bees?
leave maybe 80 pounds for the bees to get through winter.
Wow.
Because if you don't, they die. Some beekeepers will kill their bees and buy new ones in the fall. And I don't think that's fair. They take all the honey and then they pay for the new bees that they have to buy. And I don't think that's right. So I always leave plenty of honey.
Okay.
In the past, we've had beekeepers that had problems with mites. And there's another thing, it used to be a big issue, colony collapse disorder,
Okay.
where the bees would just leave the hive. I've had that happen a couple times. Maybe there's 60 pounds of honey in the hive, and the bees just take off.
Wow.
Nobody ever figured that out. You know, it might have been pesticides. That's what I think it is. But
Yeah.
their mites have been a problem, and the hives get weak. But yeah.
Have you noticed with all of the pesticides and people moving away from organic type farming with all the big commercial farming,
Yeah.
have you noticed a huge decline in the bee population?
Oh yeah, definitely that. I mean, it's tough. You know, the professional beekeepers are losing 90% of their bees.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's a lot.
they do that for a couple of years. You're out of business. Banker won't loan you money because so just sorry you haven't had a product for 2 years. Can't loan you any more money.
Wow.
So there's definitely a decrease. And some people think it's pasture or chemicals. Definitely, that's what I think it is. But it's just been hard. A lot of suburbia, and suburbia they like to use Roundup or commercial fertilizers for the gardens. But that's starting to change some. Not that Monsanto's changing, but
Yeah.
individuals are changing. So.
Yeah. So if someone was wanting to organically garden and produce their own healthy foods, what would the benefits of having bees or planting certain types of flowers to attract those be, other than just like the bigger fruits? How do we help bring a happier environment for our bees to benefit both of us?
I would encourage some people to maybe buy a hive and just put it close to their garden and just see if there's a different effect. You know, and there's so much white clover, at least in Iowa,
Yeah.
that you really don't have to worry too much about stuff that the bees will work and make honey. But I think you would find that your garden's much more productive.
Yeah, for sure. And then as far as managing the bees, do you feel like bees ever like come after you, attack you? How do you, for people who are scared of getting stung, how do we navigate through this fear to encourage people to, take on their own hive?
A bee suit is primary.
There you go.
Don't like getting stung. I mean, I don't like the right word, pussy. I don't like getting stung, so I will always wear a bee suit. And you can tell if you've been around bees enough, you can tell when they get agitated. Like a hot, humid, overcast day, forget it. Don't go near them.
Don't mess with the bees on a
And
bad
then
day.
if you open a hive up and they start bouncing on your chest or something, say, well, I'll come back later.
Okay. So they have a way of communicating,
Yeah.
today is not the day.
Yeah, definitely
Very
that.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
So getting to know them like any other person or animal, they have, emotions, obviously. So,
yeah. Well, they're very protective
yes.
of their family, like everybody is,
Yes, very good. If anybody was interested in finding out more about how to get in contact with the organization, in Iowa, because there is a group throughout Iowa that does talk about bees, and they kind of all help each other out.
There's a Iowa Honey Producers Association. Anybody could be a member. It's run by, mostly old guys that have time that can go out and talk to the schools and things. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about me being old. I'm talking about old guys, And one thing I found about beekeepers that they're usually very gentle souls. Mm-hmm. You can't go in that hive and the bees can smell
anger.
If you're negative, angry, sweating. So I always find them to be amazing people. The other thing, YouTube. There's tons of information on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
and the thing about beekeepers, they're always experimenting, always trying something new. And that's fun.
Yeah, I think it's intriguing, even just you saying that you had the Russian honeybees. So have you noticed any difference in temperament or honey production, or how are they different when you...
I find the Russian bees, they're just more hardy. You got Italy and then you got Russia. So maybe the Russian bees are a little bit better acclimated to Iowa weather. I haven't had enough experience with them to really tell, but that's just like one of the things, let's try this. Who knows? It might work,
Yeah. Interesting. Is there any other information that you'd like to share with our group other than the co-op that you're working on creating as far as like bees go?
Well, I'd like to, if you want to, interested in any part of a co-op or starting, you can call me, Bob Hougher. My number is 641-208-1980. And there's a group at the farmer's market. There's a beekeeper there, probably be very helpful. There's one thing I'd like to story. When there weren't bees in North America, the Europeans brought the bees. And the Indians called them white man's flies.
Oh.
And then there's a story that some of the beekeepers would follow the swarms as they went west because there wasn't a source of sweet, sugary stuff in the country. So they think, maybe these guys help the expansion of the on the North American continent. I always thought that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, that is. That's very interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Anybody wants to call me, give me a call. Just talk loud. I don't hear very well.
Yes, and we'll have information posted on the link as well, so they can get in touch with you.
Very good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Bob.